All right, we've all been there, right? You're cruising at 30,000 feet, the meal tray finally arrives, and you're met with, well, let's just say it's a little disappointing. So today, we're going to crack the case of why airplane food tastes so weird. And trust me, the answer is probably not what you're thinking.
I mean, you're settled in your seat, you peel back that little foil lid, you take that first bite, and it's just bland, surprisingly dull. And look, it's not you just being picky, you are definitely not alone. It's pretty much a universal experience for anyone who flies. So what is going on here?
So, the first thought for most of us, right? It's gotta be the airline. They're cutting corners, maybe the chef just had an off day. It's so easy to just blame the food.
Yeah, we point the finger straight at a bad recipe or, cheap ingredients. I mean, it seems logical, doesn't it? But the real story is so much more fascinating, and believe it or not, it has almost nothing to do with the food itself.
Okay, so here's the big twist. The main reason that food tastes so strange up there, it's you. Well, more specifically, it's what the airplane's environment is doing to your body and your senses.
And I'm not exaggerating here. The moment you hit cruising altitude, your ability to taste and smell just takes a massive nosedive. Your taste buds, they basically check out for the flight.
So what is actually happening up there? Well, to get it, we need to look at how the cabin environment kind of wages this all-out assault on your ability to taste.
Yep, these three things work together to create the perfect storm for bland food. First, you've got the air pressure in the cabin, which is a lot like being on top of a high mountain. Then there's the humidity, which is crazy low. We're talking drier than most deserts on Earth. Seriously.
And here's why that's a huge deal. That low humidity totally dries out the inside of your nose. And since your sense of smell is responsible for something like 80% of what we think of as flavor, well, when your nose can't do its job, your food just tastes like a shadow of its former self. And look, this isn't some tiny, barely noticeable effect. The impact on your senses is so big that researchers have actually put a number on it. That's right, your ability to taste sweet and salty things drops by almost 30%. It's literally like someone reached over and turned down the volume knob on your taste buds. And that's exactly why that little dessert tastes less sweet and the main course just feels underseasoned.
But wait, that dry, thin air, that's only part of the story. There's another culprit messing with your meal, and it's one you probably have never considered: the noise. Yeah, the noise. It's called the muted meal effect.
See that constant loud roar from the jet engines? It isn't just background noise. It's actually making your brain work overtime. It's so busy processing all that sound that it just doesn't have much bandwidth left to deal with the taste signals coming from your tongue. And the result? Everything tastes even more flat.
Okay, so with all this working against them, the airlines aren't just throwing their hands up and serving bland food. No, they are actively in a culinary battle against physics and biology.
They've actually spent years researching this exact problem. Their whole challenge is figuring out how to design a menu that can punch through that sensory fog from the altitude, the dryness, and the noise. So, how do they do it? What's their strategy?
Well, they fight back with bold, intense flavors that aren't as affected by the cabin. Think about savory umami. That's the flavor you get in things like tomato juice or mushrooms. Turns out, our ability to taste umami isn't really bothered by low pressure or noise. Same goes for those intense spices you find in curries, or the kick from a good hot sauce. These are the flavors that are strong enough to cut through all that sensory noise.
So here's a simple way to think about it. On the ground, your sense of taste is sharp, it's focused, it's ready for business. But once you're up in the air, it basically just clocks out, goes on vacation, and stops paying attention.
So, the next time you're flying and that meal feels a little underwhelming, maybe cut the airline some slack. The chef probably isn't the problem. The real culprit is your own biology, which has been temporarily put on, well, airplane mode.
So there you have it. Mystery solved. It's not really bad food, it's just really bad conditions for tasting food. And knowing the science behind it all, that's definitely going to change how you think about your next in-flight meal, right? Which, of course, leaves me with one final question for you. What's the most memorable meal, for better or for worse, that you've ever had up in the sky?